Hello, and welcome back to BS and with BS. As you now know, I am your host, Blake Slottick, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the show. First thing I would like to do is somewhat apologize for the delay in the episode, as I've just been playing mind games with myself over the last, 2 weeks on if I should even make this episode or not, and discuss the topic of, what I kind of have planned today, just because, I don't know, It has. It's an interesting topic for me. The topic of today is alcohol. Last week, on July 31st, I celebrated my 2 years of no longer drinking alcohol, and it has been quite the journey, to say the least. So, yeah, I just been playing games with myself on why I would even make this episode, because one, I am not a sobriety expert by any means, so do not take any advice I have to offer today, or if I even offer advice. I'm just gonna kind of tell stories and about, I guess, my journey and how I've felt throughout it. Um, and yeah, first thing I should start off with, I guess, is I have not been like totally sober by by the technical definition, I guess you could say. I have used marijuana in, spurts throughout this journey. I've been on and off, I guess. I have been completely sober for like a few months at a time and stuff like that, and taking breaks. Like I always do sober October, where I pretty much, would you say, like kick or just don't use any substances, including like caffeine. I take it to kind of the extreme on that one. But yeah, otherwise, it's been interesting. And I've been playing mind games with myself about this too, because I did record a podcast last year on my 1 year anniversary that I just never posted, and I don't even think I've rewatched it. But I know I have that sitting somewhere too, and I was pretty frustrated after I finished recording that. So maybe you could say it's fear, I guess, or I don't know, procrastination. Either way, whatever the terminology actually is. But so yeah, just been using the emotions that I still had from that and projecting it onto this episode. But my communication skills have gotten a lot better in the past year, and I've become more comfortable, I guess you could say, with not drinking and stuff like that. So, yeah, where to start? I guess we'll just start at the beginning. I Let's see. I began drinking when I was probably 17 years old. I believe so. It was my friend's graduation party, and it was the end of my junior year. It was the first time I remember like getting drunk. You could say I maybe had like a sip of beer or like a little swig of alcohol just to try it, but I never enjoyed the taste. Still hardly ever enjoyed the taste towards the end, but obviously enjoyed the effects. And yeah, so that was the first time that I like know I got drunk drinking Captain Morgan. I had just like a little 750 milliliter bottle, I believe it was. And yeah, it was a good time. I mean, we were just all around like a campfire. It was not like necessarily a raging party by any means or anything like that, but that's that's just the first time. There was no, I didn't have any issues. It was pretty fun, I guess. Just doing what kids do in this area. And then I don't really remember drinking that much that summer at all, I don't think. Maybe a little bit, here and there with my friends, but then the next, where no, we started drinking, shouldn't say we, I started drinking more, was the winter of my senior year. And again, that was just, hanging out with friends, partying on the weekends, stuff like that. And yeah, when I really started drinking, I would say have been, I believe it was my first year of college. I didn't have class on Fridays, so I would come home on Thursday nights, and then yeah, we just go on 3-day benders, which again is probably just kids being kids. Like there's nothing wrong with it. I want to state that I guess right now that I always say that alcohol is not the problem. That I had a problem with alcohol, and so yeah, a lot of 3-day benders. Just I don't know, for fun, pushing the limits, being a kid, doing what kids do, experimenting, exploring, and then started drinking then, just socially and having fun. And let's see, so that's when I was probably about 19. Then when I turned 21, and I didn't really go to bars underage much. I was at like one or two, but the area I live in, everybody knew who I was and who I am. So like, there was no fake IDs. I never even had a fake ID, but there was no getting away with it. And where I went to college was not like a party town. You could say like I went to tech school. So there's not a lot of bars in that area, and like we didn't get fake IDs and go out partying, just wasn't a thing that we did up there. And so where was I now? So that's that kind of wraps up, I guess, like my college experience with drinking. Like I didn't really, I came home and drank with my friends and stuff again, but not much ever at college. A few times. I mean, there was a few parties. I wouldn't say never, but now I vividly remember coming back to me a story on me and my one buddy up at college. We got a bottle of vodka to share, and it was a 175, and obviously we just wanted the cheapest liquor around. Not a good recommendation. Do not do that. Always go for the middle of the road or top shelf. Not that it necessarily helps, but the quality of the alcohol, I feel, had a great impact on this story. So, and it was my first year of college. We got a 175 of Taka vodka, is what it was called. And we were drinking screwdrivers at this party. And, they were going down smooth like nothing. Like not even thinking about it. It's like, oh, I'm not getting drunk. That's kind of how vodka goes. Like you're just drinking it, and then all of a sudden just hits you like a truck. And that's exactly what happened. It just hit me like a truck. Like we were hanging out in this person's apartment, and I want to say we got over half the bottle down. And I don't know how much he drank or how much I drank, but I drank a lot, And so eventually he was like, all right, we got to get going. Like, our ride's here. It's time to go. And I believe we were leaving early because of the state that I was in. And we're just walking down the stairs of this apartment. It was maybe on the 3rd floor, I want to say. And we get like halfway down, and I just could not hold it anymore and just launched a pile onto the stairs. And then we get downstairs out of the apartment and everything, and like I'm pretty sure I let her go again in the bushes. And then our ride was there, so we got in the car, headed back to his apartment. And I'm not totally sure how I got back to my apartment. They might have dropped me off at my apartment and not went to his. I know I didn't drive, put it that way. And so I get back to my apartment. Well, I couldn't go into my apartment. I could have, but I didn't want to go into my apartment because I lived with the RA of the floor. Like, he was in charge of the floor and technically, supposed to report underage drinking and stuff like that if kids are doing it. So I went into my buddy's apartment, which was like 2 doors down, and obviously just go straight for the toilet, and I'm hugging the toilet, and I call my, girlfriend at the time, wife now, and just sitting on the phone with her at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm puking blood in this toilet, and No, I mean, not like excessive amounts of blood, but I had already puked out everything that was in my stomach, so I was probably just dry heaving a bunch. And yeah, I don't know where necessarily the blood came from. Like, it wasn't a lot. Like, other people were concerned, but I guess I was not concerned. And I just remember being on the phone with her at like 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning, and obviously she's not saying nothing. She was sleeping. And I just remember everybody coming in and, you gotta hang up, you gotta hang up, let her sleep. And I just kept, fuck you guys, fuck you, leave me alone, just let me talk to her. You know, oh yeah. I don't even know where I'm going with this story. It's just a lesson on vodka, I guess, that it'll hit you like a truck. And to wrap it up, I ended up sleeping on that bathroom floor, then hugging the toilet for, a few hours. And then I kind of woke up again and was a little more in a sober mind, still drunk for sure, and headed back to my apartment then and went to my bed though, because I was good at this point. Like, I was literally had nothing left in my system to get out. And yeah, so I just went to bed. And I remember waking up that morning and all my like friends in there that were in their room come barging in my room looking for me because they thought I just like either disappeared or ran somewhere. They had no idea. They went to bed and left me on the floor. Not left me, but like I wasn't getting up off that floor at the time, so it was the right move to just have me stay there. And they come barging in looking for me. Where were you? Oh, we were all worried and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh no, just had to go to bed and recover. And yeah. So that was the last time I drank vodka for a long time. That's actually then, after that, I believe, is when I started drinking beer because I did not like the taste of beer at the beginning of my drinking days. And obviously, after an experience like that, I was like, well, I need something a little more mellow because I do not want to go through this again, which I would end up going through again, but not near to that extent or that bad. But yeah, vodka will hit you like a truck. So then, yeah, we're gonna skip up, I guess, to like my 21st birthday, and that's when I started going like to the bar. And I'd always heard about the local bar in town for years, just from I know my parents would go there, not every now and then, and like that's just kind of the hangout of the town. So like I just always wanted to also go there and experience it and like just hang out with everybody, and like everybody always said fun times happen there, a lot of good things, and which I mean, they do. A lot of fun times, a lot of good people, a lot of fun experiences were had in that bar. So yeah, after turning 21, that kind of became my hangout and my comfort zone, you could say, as some people would say. But yeah, I spent a lot of time in the bar then, just because I was working all the time, still lived at my parents' house, so I didn't have necessarily a lot of responsibilities or like things to do with my time outside of work. And I was working a lot too, overtime, doing side jobs and stuff like that, just making money, having fun, partying with the friends, and like, yeah, having a good old time. And yeah, and that was all fun, I guess. There was never really any issues like I never I've never really gotten in much trouble, you could say, drinking. Like, never really had any run-ins with the law or nothing like that. I didn't drink and drive very often or too much at all. And yeah, I guess it was just, I don't know, something I guess you do in your young 20s. Or maybe it's not something everybody does, but seemed as if it was a normal thing to do, you could say. And yeah, it was all pretty good. And then COVID hit. Not that that had much of an impact on it. If anything, that probably slowed down my drinking just because we weren't always in like social aspects. You couldn't really go to the bar as they had to shut down for a while and stuff like that. And then, yeah, it'd be after COVID, and then the bars opened back up. So, we just started going back to the bars again, slowly but surely. And I'm trying to think of how this all ties in here. I'm just kind of telling you guys my timeline right now of drinking, but then I would say probably when I turned like 23, I started drinking more heavily. You could say like I've kind of told some of my friends around me now and stuff. Like when I think back on it, like I wanted to be good at drinking. Like I didn't like lightweights and stuff like that, where if you have one drink and you're no longer yourself, or stuff like that. Well, I got pretty good at it. Like there's a science to it. I won't go into it on this because I don't feel like teaching people how to drink necessarily. Not that I'm an expert by any means, but I would say I was pretty good at it. There was a lot of times where I was very drunk, and I would get the comment on, "You're not drunk. What? You seem normal. You're whatever." It's like, well, I just learned how to navigate that state pretty well. Is how I would describe that. Like, I remember vividly one time where at this point, I had gotten more away from beer and started drinking hard liquor again. Whether it's Captain Morgan or vodka or tequila shots, which I would not recommend multiple tequila shots ever in a night, but they get you to the point. And yeah, so we started having a run where it'd be straight liquor pretty much, whether that be Captain Cokes. Usually start with to kind of have something that tastes decent and get the buzz going. Take a Patron shot or two, or not Jose Cuervo. Fuck no. Not for me. I had one run in with that in high school, but we'll leave that alone. If you really want to know that story, you can hit me up. I'll tell you. It's nothing extravagant, but yeah. And then Patron, though, yeah. Walk into the bar and just order a Patron shot right away, or two or three, and do a few of them, and they get you where you need to go, put it that way. The liquor will be in control after that. That's from Trailer Park Boys, but it's a pretty true statement from what I've learned, that the liquor will take control. And, yeah. So then I started, yeah, we would go Captain Diets, and then, eventually I would get to vodka waters. That's where I'm trying to get with this story. Like, I would just drink vodka and water. So some people, they would think I was just walking around with water. They would like think I was sober or something. Well, I really remember, it was a bunch of our friends' parents were at the bar, so they knew me well and I knew them, and we were all having a good conversation. And I just remember them saying something or me saying something that I'm pretty drunk. And they were like, "What? No way! Like you seem totally sober." And my girlfriend at the time, again, wife, was just like, "Oh no, he's shit faced." Essentially, like, he's drunk when he's drinking vodka waters, and they all laughed, and they're like, "Oh, we just thought you had a water, like you were calming down." And I was like, "Oh no, we're doing the opposite of calming down here. We're getting ready to turn up." And then yeah. Yeah. I like to say too, like, I never really got in trouble where people didn't think I had a problem, which I don't know if I had a problem or not. That's up for debate. Whatever. I just knew that drinking was no longer for me. But yeah, like, now I lost my train of thought having to throw that little side note in there. Where was I at? With vodka waters. Because, like, essentially at that point, like, I was not drinking for the taste anymore. Like, it was just straight, let's get the effects, Oh, why nobody had thought I had a problem or would say I had a problem. because I would say I would classify myself as like a happy drunk. Like I was never a fighter. Didn't fight anybody. I was in like one fight in my life, one bar brawl, you could call it, and like I didn't even want to be a part of it. I didn't start it, and I was very uncomfortable in the situation and after the situation, and we'll leave that at that. But yeah, like I was a happy drunk, you could say, like lovey, fun, joking with people, having a good time, and everything like that. But then like when I'd get home, especially towards the end, because I knew I wanted to slow down and knew I wanted to quit, but I just necessarily couldn't get myself to do it yet. Um, yeah, like I would just not be happy with. Apologies for that cut. Stopped recording on accident there, but yeah, I would just not be happy with myself. Like I would be either disappointed in that I went out again and got shit faced, or knowing that I had other responsibilities on the way and I just wasn't necessarily handling them properly or taking care of them. Me and my girlfriend at the time were in the process of kind of planning to build this house and saving money. Well, I wasn't necessarily saving money when I go out to the bar spending 200, $300 a night, and that's on that wasn't every night. That's yeah, just like a big night, you could say, or whatever, but that's kind of what it boiled down to towards the end, so we'll just put it that way. It's an exaggeration. It wasn't every single night, but either way, not saving money like I wanted to, just being upset with myself over it. Like, you knew better than this. You didn't want to do this. You've been saying you want to quit. You've been blah, blah, blah. And then still going out every weekend type thing. And like, waking up in the morning and I'm never drinking again type shit. And yeah. And like yeah. If you really want to know my favorite song to come home and listen to by myself, then obviously my girlfriend would be there, wife. And she would witness it too, but I would sit there and listen to I Hate Everything by, I'm pretty sure, George Strait. And yeah, just sit there and have a bunch of self-pity for myself and beat myself up over stuff that I could have changed and could easily control, but just wasn't doing it yet at the time. Whether I wasn't mentally strong enough, or obviously the liquor's in control at that point. This is after bar closed, so like you're there all night, and yeah, just taking a lot of things out of myself that I probably didn't necessarily need to, especially in that moment. And I did that for, I don't know, all of 6 months, probably a year. Then I had made some other stupid decisions while drinking, and finally it just kind of all caught up to me. And I was tired of living a double life, you could say, and lying to myself and lying to others and everything like that. And so it came to a head, and you could say, had panic attacks, or I don't know if they're necessarily panic attacks or what, but I had a lot of stress. And so, I just ended up blowing up. And, yeah, you could say confessing my sins to my wife, to other people that I feel I owed apologies to, and stuff like that. And yeah, that really kind of opened my eyes, I guess, when I was like sitting there just like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Like, I have a great life, I have great people around me, and I'm necessarily, self-sabotaging and attempting to almost throw it all away for what, Yeah. So now we're getting into the part, I guess, where I really started like taking quitting and stopping seriously. And I would say when I started attempting and wanted to quit drinking, I quit I would say 3 times for sure before that, seriously. Maybe 4, but I know there's at least 2 times vividly where I took, over a month long break, maybe 2 months, and then I would end up going out again though, and like nobody pressured me into it. Like I wanted to go, and I would go out, have a few drinks, and then just be sitting there like, what the fuck did I do? Like I was clean again. I say clean like I was on drugs or something. Like I wasn't on no hard drugs or nothing like that. Like I was literally just drinking alcohol, smoking weed every now and then. Like nothing over the edge, you could say. But yeah. So then I stopped like 3 times, and yeah, each time, would go back to it, be like, okay, yeah, like I don't have a problem. I can stop and control it. Well, every time I would start drinking again, though, it's not like I would go out and have 2, 3 beers and then go home, or have like just a relaxing amount. Like every time it turned right back into me jumping off the deep end. Like yeah, my plan would be to go out and just have like 2, 3 beers and relax, hang out with my friends and socialize with other people at the bar. But then it turns into, ton of drinks, hard liquor again, freaking closing the bar down and going to a party after or something, like it just always would snowball on me more than I wanted it to, because yeah, the liquor was in control, and yeah. So then that kind of brings us up to, I guess, the last time I went to drink, which was an event weekend in the town I live. I mean, I don't feel like necessarily saying it, but obviously people around me will know. And I went into, it's a 3-day event, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I went into the event knowing like this is my last hurrah. Like I'm going to go out with a bang and have a good time, and I'm done. And that's what I did. We had a good weekend. I partied pretty hard, went on a 3-day bender. Sunday, shut down the bar in town, and I woke up Monday and said, I'm done. That it's over. And that's what I did. I haven't had a drink since. And I had shaved my head that weekend on Friday, starting that, because I told myself, I'm going to be a new man after this. So I shaved my head, which was for other reasons also, just kind of like personal development tests and stuff like that. We ain't going into that right now, but yeah, so I did that. And then Monday came around and I started being sober. Ish. I still kind of smoked weed and stuff at that time, but, like I said, I did that on and off for a few years. Well, few years. I still do that on and off. I'm sober now, you could say. Just use nicotine every now and then, but, yeah. 1 month, actually, off marijuana now, too. And, I would say that it was hard at first, but since I had already taken the attempts to stop, I kind of knew what was coming. Like I knew what I was going to feel, I knew what I was going to want to do, and I just kind of distracted myself with other work, and replaced it with a purpose. That's why essentially the Barfly YouTube channel was born. That's why that's kind of when I began podcasting. That's when I just started doing a bunch of other things to attempt to find like what I want to do and how I could replace my time being at the bar, because I had a lot of time to replace that. My weekends were pretty wide open. I started doing jiu-jitsu and stuff, striking, and training harder, taking my diet more seriously, like just, yeah, doing all the health conscious things I could do, essentially, because I had a lot more time now. And I would say with quitting, the number one thing is it gets easier with time. I was lucky. I've had a lot of, you could say, recovering alcoholics and people in AA around me and in my family, so that definitely helped me as I had people to talk to about it and advice. Obviously, I've been to AA meetings in the past, not for myself, but just going for pin nights for others is like celebratory things, once a year or something like that. And usually in those celebratory things, they still kind of go through like the structure of a meeting. People don't necessarily share their stories and have the deep talks that they do at probably a regular AA meeting, but they still kind of explain the structure and share their story of alcoholism and how they've recovered. So I had a lot of knowledge, I would say, around it and kind of what I was going to feel and why I was going to feel that way and stuff like that. There's a lot of other events that led up to me quitting that I have not mentioned, I guess, but we'll leave them at that. And, yeah, so I would say at least the first year. Nah, I shouldn't say a year. Probably 3 months. The first 3 months was pretty difficult because, like I said, it's like, what do I do with all my time? And a lot of people around me just kind of thought it was a joke that I had drank too hard that one weekend that I just needed a break, which was also kind of true. I did hit her pretty hard, but in a controlled manner, you could say. Like, I knew what I was doing. And, yeah, like, it was just a challenging time, I guess, like rediscovering who I was, which I'm still doing that, who I am, and yeah, just going on like essentially a different life path than what I was on before. So like the first 3 to 6 months, I would say were hard. Like I would not step foot really in a bar. I had DJ'd a few times still at the bar just to kind of still be involved, but not be drinking, and they were kind of tough, I would say, for me. Just because, obviously, the temptation's there then, and, like, your brain starts talking to you on, well, why are we even doing this? What's the point? Blah, 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 blah. At least mine does. I'm not saying yours will, but that's what I had gone through, and then, yeah, I think it was after my second time or third time DJing, attempting to be sober, I was like, okay, like I can't do this right now. Like I can't keep going to the bar. And that took me a while to get over and kind of feel comfortable going back to a bar and like being around people that were essentially drinking. And I would say I've gotten over that hump now and talking with other sober people that it definitely is a hump and it takes you a little while to essentially get over that and feel comfortable in that environment again where you don't feel pressured to drink. But it happens, it comes, I would say. Like after probably my first year-ish, year and a half maybe lately, I feel pretty comfortable like going to the bar now and just getting a pop or a water and just kind of hanging out and talking with people. I kind of enjoy doing that sometimes. Like I've done it a few times, or I'll go uptown at night and just go to the bowling alley, bowl a few games, and then go up to the bar for a red beer and see who's all there and kind of talk with everybody, because that was probably the hardest part for me is the social aspect of I just miss seeing all the people that I saw all the time, I guess, when I'm at the bar. Like, I miss being around them all and having the conversations, because there was a lot of meaningful conversations had there. And like I said earlier, a lot of good people. They could either give you life advice or just have a good time with you or just hang out. And so it took me a while, though, to get used to that. And then, yeah, I would say that this year during the town festival, that this was like the first time where I stayed out late and like stayed out with people when they had gotten past that point of like buzzed and to essentially fully intoxicated. And before, I was always quite irritated and like always had to leave because I just couldn't be around it yet. But this time I decided I was going to fully immerse myself in it. And I'm actually quite glad I did because the worries I had were taken away, you could say. Like, it just gave me more confidence on why I no longer participate or drink anymore. Like, it showed me a lot. Like, it just brings so much unnecessary drama, issues, problems, and like that's what alcohol did for me. Like, it just caused me so many problems that could have been avoided or weren't problems that I made into problems and made bigger deals of than needed to be. Just because I was not in the right state of mind or right thinking when I would essentially handle situations. And yeah, that's kind of the story. That's kind of where I'm at now. We're at 2 years of no drinking in a few days now, and yeah, like I said earlier, I didn't even want to make this podcast, but hopefully it can help others as well that are going through this journey. And if anybody ever needs anyone to talk to while slowing down or stopping drinking, I'm by no means an expert, but I'm here to listen. Because that's one thing I've learned is that's sometimes all people need. Just somebody to listen and to get it out and to express it and to know that you're not alone. That other people have gone through it and have also felt the emotions and stuff that you may be feeling. And as I said, I was quite fortunate to have a great support system. And I have that in my family as well, that they knew how to handle it and how to help me. I'm very grateful. Didn't think I would get emotional today, but here we are. And yeah, for anyone struggling with alcohol, that's all I gotta say is there's light at the end of the tunnel, and you can get there. And it's better on the other side. um, yeah, I think that's a good ending point. I will continue to make the podcast and continue to get these uploaded. But yeah, I just had to get over this one essentially because I was in my head about it too much. And greatly appreciate all of you who have listened to this. And thanks for tuning in to yet another episode of BSing with BS. I am your host, Blake Slottick, and peace and love. Have a good time, day, evening, night, and love y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.